Hello everyone, this is Jinx, one of the Monster Hunter math guys. Now considering you clicked this video, you're probably wondering what is the single highest damage number you can hit on the training pole. And the answer is 2515. Yup, that's it. Bye. Okay, so yes, this is the highest number you can currently hit on the training pole in Iceborne. But let's turn this into a teachable moment and explain exactly why this is the highest damage you can hit on the training pole in Iceborne. But this is a very long explanation, so before we get into that, quick reminder, we do have a Twitter where we post updates about videos and various things that interest us, and Tuna does stream live on Twitch almost every single day. I do also want to apologize for how long it took to get this video out and how infrequent our video posts have been lately. I have been having a rough time mentally the past 2 weeks, however I am getting it all worked out. I apologize again for all of the dead airtime, and this week we'll be having quite a few videos coming out for you guys. Okay, let's talk about why this is the highest damage number we can hit in the training area. This is because of the raw attack cap that exists in the game, and will also explain the practical applications for understanding how the raw attack cap works. Because while it is cool to know what the highest damage number is, understanding the practical applications and how they can apply to you of the raw damage cap is very important. Raw damage cap, raw damage cap, raw damage cap. So why do I keep mentioning this raw damage cap? Well, there is actually a cap to the amount of raw attack you can have on your build and on your weapon at any particular time based off of the base true raw of your weapon. This also existed in base Monster Hunter World, however they did nerf the cap in Iceborne. See, in the base game, the cap was 3 times your base true raw. Now 3 times your base true raw is a huge amount. On something like the Anguish Joe Greatsword in base game, which has 230 base true raw, this meant you had to figure out how to get a bonus 460 true raw. That is a lot, and you had to create some really complex and contrived scenarios to even get close to scratching that. Incidentally, this is also why the Joe Greatsword could hit a higher potential number than the Wyvern Ignition in base game. The Wyvern Ignition was the better GS to run practically for normal hunts. However, the Anguish did have more base true raw, meaning that its highest potential damage number was higher. They did change things in Iceborne, now it's only 2 times your base true raw for your raw cap. This is suddenly very achievable. In fact, if you are running typical meta damage options, so like a Gold Rathian or Runa no Gigante weapon or a Shara weapon, if you have Evasion Mantle active as well as a Hunting Horn with attack up extra large on your team, along with non-elemental boost for the Shara weapons, and then also your typical foods as well as attack buffs, and have procced Fortify at least once, then you only need either 59 or 41 true raw on your build through things like attack boost, agitated peak performance, etc. to hit the raw cap. At this point, if you were to trigger Fortify again, or run Feline Heroics, or do anything like that that adds extra bonus true raw, you would get nothing out of it. This is not very difficult to achieve in a realistic hunt, and on top of that, there are other skills that all apply before the raw cap as well. There ends up being a lot of situations where you end up wasting skill efficiency or damage because you're trying to stack too much and hitting the raw cap. But let's rewind a bit first and explain exactly how the raw cap works. So as I mentioned, the raw cap is going to be 2 times your base true raw in Iceborne. Now exactly what is your base true raw? Well, it is the amount of raw you have on the weapon as well as any attack augments and attack customs you have on that weapon. For example, the Acidic Glavenus GS we end up using to achieve the highest damage you can get on the training pole has 290 base true raw. Now if we add on 2 attack augments as well as 6 attack customs onto this, we end up hitting 306 base true raw. Augments and customs are the only thing that are considered base true raw increases. Everything else is considered bonus true raw. This is an important distinction because increasing our base true raw increases the raw cap. And also things like Feline Heroics, Evasion Mantle, the attack up extra large song, etc. only multiply on base true raw. However, even though they only multiply on base true raw, they are considered bonus true raw. Now the Rajan Greatsword does end up hitting a higher base true raw than the Acidic Glavenus at 320 after 2 attack augments. But there is a reason we don't use this, and we'll get into that in just a bit. Now we simply double this number, and that is our raw cap. So for our 306 base true raw Acidic Glavenus here, we're going to be looking at a 612 true raw cap. In other words, we have to add 306 bonus true raw to the build to hit the cap. But now that we know what the raw cap is, there are some things that apply before and after the raw cap, and this is where it gets a little more confusing. So as a general rule, anything that does increase your in-game attack generally applies before the cap. There are some exceptions, but we'll be sure to go over those. So this includes all raw multiplier skills and foods, such as non-elemental boost, bonus attack stuff like attack boost, agitated peak performance, etc. Eating for feline heroics, running regular heroics, using evasion mantle and proccing it. Eating for attack up large, hunting horns, attack up extra large songs, using mega demon drugs, using demon powders, might seeds, all that kind of stuff. Now the weird one, which is an exception to the it increases your in-game attack rule, are attack specific bonuses skills. So things like normal spread or pierce shot up, artillery, and even airborne's bonus damage to aerial attacks all apply before the cap, even though they do not increase your in-game attack stat. This actually has some pretty big implications for how useful Artillery 5 actually is, because it's very easy to accidentally overcap on the set with Artillery 5. But that's a pretty long conversation, and we do have a video planned for that in the future. So all of these things do apply before the raw attack cap. Once you hit the cap, adding any more of these things into your build will not increase your damage. Now there are of course plenty of things that apply after the cap. The obvious one being critical hits. Critical hits are obviously not subject to the 2 times raw damage limiter, otherwise we would not be able to hit very high damage numbers. Another damage modifier that applies after the raw cap is sharpness. In fact, being able to run purple sharpness is the reason why the acidic lavinus GS is currently able to hit higher numbers compared to the Rajang GS. But more on that in a sec. Now the final really weird one that kind of breaks the rules that does apply after the cap is weapon class specific modifiers. So even though spirit levels on longsword as well as switch axe's power files do increase your in-game attack stat, they do not apply before the cap. This means if you somehow manage to hit 580 true raw on a build with a Gold Rathian switch axe, you still get the 17% true raw modifier in sword mode for having power file. This also applies to bow's power as well as close range coatings, and also hammer's power charge, and IG's skin-sec buffs, and also for a really weird one, hunting horn's self-improvement song counts after the cap. But attack up extra large counts before the cap. The reason I can see for this is because self-improvement is only for the hunting horn user specifically. So I guess as a general rule, if a weapon has a specific mechanic that makes your own damage higher, it applies after the cap. Alright, so now that we understand this, let's talk about the practical applications in Hunt. Now this does make Artillery 5 a lot weaker than it may first seem, but again that's a long discussion, so we'll talk about it in a future video. But really the main important thing to remember is that because it's so easy to stack these up to the 2 times cap, you will often end up wasting a lot of multipliers. For example, let's look at the Shara weapon build we were talking about earlier, where you have Evasion Mantle as well as attack up extra large triggered. Now, with this build, you only need 41 more true raw on your build, which is very achievable in order to hit the cap. Assuming you do hit this, if you have an airborne deco in your build, you won't deal any increased damage on your aerial attacks. And if you're doing a guiding land strategy where you cart twice with fortify to get a 20% extra base true raw, you're only looking at 13 more true raw you have to get to hit the cap, meaning if you even have attack boost 5, you are overcapped. This is actually why in Iceborne, aerial strategies like Ledge Hop Hammer primarily use elemental hammers instead of raw hammers. Between all of the different raw multipliers in the game, it is just so easy to hit the cap that the only way you can increase your damage after that is to stack elemental. Now keep in mind, unless you are using things like Evasion Mantle or Feline Heroics or Fortify or whatnot, you may not still be able to hit the cap. So don't take this as a recommendation to use elemental weapons on weapons that are much better using raw. But if you are planning on using some sort of Feline Heroics or Evasion Mantle or Ledge Hop strat, then you do have to keep in mind this raw cap. You also have to keep in mind that the airborne skill in particular is a lot weaker than it first seems, especially if you're stacking it with things like Evasion Mantle. This also does mean that very low base true raw weapons with high affinity are even weaker than they were before Iceborne. For example, Naga Kuga weapons with just an Evasion Mantle proc, attack up extra large, non-elemental boost and basic buffs and no fortify only need 51 true raw in the build to hit cap, which you can very easily achieve on these weapons because they have such high natural affinity and sharpness, which is one of many reasons why they are just weaker than the high base true raw neutral affinity weapon choices. Alright, now that we know all of these things, let's wrap things up and look at why 2515 is the highest damage you can hit on the trading pole in current Iceborne. Now, of course, we go with Greatsword for our weapon choice because it has the single highest damage number attack in the game, True Charge Slash. When empowered, True Charge Slash has a motion value of 264 at level 3. As a comparison point, a Lance Poke has a motion value of 20. Now, because we take 2 attack augments as well as 6 attack customs, we hit 306 base true raw. This puts our true raw cap at 612. Now, if we multiply this by purple sharpness of 1.39 along with a 1.4 crit modifier for crit boost 3, our damage pre-hit zone value is going to be 3144. Now, if we compare this to the other possible contender, the Rajang Greatsword, we can see the acidic Lavenus still hits harder. This is because while the Rajang Greatsword has a true raw cap of 640 with 2 attack augments, it only has white sharpness. This makes its damage pre-hit zone value on an empowered TCS level 3 only 3122. So we go with the acidic Lavenus, which on a hit zone value of 80 ends up hitting 2515. Okay, so that lines up perfectly with our in-game numbers, but how did we achieve this in-game? Well, let's take a look at exactly what the numbers look like for how we got this in the training area. So we have a base true raw of 306. Evasion Mantle when active gives us an extra 30% of our base true raw, so 92. Feline Heroics gives us 35% of our base true raw, so 107. All of our buffs like Mega Demon Drug, Demon Powder, Eating for Attack Up Large, Power Talent and Charm, and Might Pill all give us a total of 72. And Attack Boost 7 gives us another 21, Non-Elemental Boost gives us 15. All in all, this gives us a total true raw of 613. Now, because we are in the training area, we cannot have a friendly hunting horn buff us, we also can't have our Palico buff us, and we can't use Fortify. Fortify requires us to cart, and if we cart, we cannot re-eat for Feline Heroics without leaving the training area and losing Fortify. But all of this is doable without leaving the training area, which kind of illustrates how easy it is to hit the raw attack cap now. Now, this combination will put us at 613 true raw, which in-game bloated will give us 2942 attack. But because of the fact that the cap is at 612, when we go in-game and do this, the highest we'll be able to get is 2938 attack, if everything is correct. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happens. Now, I did not have the materials to put together this particular attack augmented greatsword, so a huge thanks to our old friend Tony for recording this for us. So here we're just getting everything set up, throwing Evasion Mantle already in Feline Heroics, and then triggering the Evasion Mantle off the Barrel Bomb, and doing a nice draw slash into Slinger Burst into TCS level 3. Here Tony has popped up the status screen so we can see how high our attack has gotten in game. Now, if there was not a cap, we should hit 613 true raw. However, we do hit the cap, so we're at 612 true raw, which ends up being 2938 bloated. At this point, there is just no way for us to fit in more damage, at least until Capcom gives us a stronger GS. And first hit lands, and second hit 2515. Technically, this can get 3% higher if Tony were to sweet spot, but I was not about to have him repeat this until we got the sweet spot. With a sweet spot, this should be dealing 2590 damage. But yeah, that is the single highest damage number you can get on the training pole currently in Iceborne. At least as far as I'm aware, it's entirely possible I am missing something. But at the end of the day, this was all really just an excuse to explain exactly how the raw damage cap works in Iceborne, especially because it's going to be very relevant in our upcoming video about artillery. Thank you so much as always for checking out the video. If you have any friends who are interested in learning how the raw damage cap works or just what the biggest number you can hit the training pole for is, be sure to share the video with them. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to let us know by liking the video and letting us know in a comment below. And thank you as always to Honey over at honeyhunterworld.com for creating and maintaining the tools we use to make sets with. And of course a thank you to our old friend Tony for actually recording the footage for this video. And if you'd like to find hunters to hunt with of all different skill levels, just come chat about stuff or share set secrets, all that kind of jazz, be sure to check out our Discord server, the Mathlos Nest. Just please be sure to keep all Iceborne related talk to the Iceborne specific channels so our PC players can avoid spoilers. And don't forget we do have a Twitter where we post updates about videos and various things that interest us, and Tuna does stream live on Twitch almost every single day. And of course none of this would be possible without the generosity of our patrons. And this is the first video of the month, so you know what that means, full Patreon call out time. So a huge thank you to our patrons: Foray, Ziggy, Alex Sanchez, Yoshi Cho, Fly T, David Sternberg, XCLK07, Hulkanis, Serena, David Zhu Sinclair, Birdlord, John Cohen, Sinful by Nature, Rain Curtain, Warren Kios, Hinsatsuken, Papa Slatch, Captain Big Brain, Justin Sedita, Milky Powder, Cody P, Jedi Link, Gavin Sharkey, Sweet Daddy, Bram Orsel, Saffron Turtle, Palmito, Roddy Raw Dog, EAYR, Matthew Gordon, Lightweight, Javik, Benjamin, The Local, Sam, Lost and Confused, PB Livingston, Ray, Flaggelblast, Skylar Yang, Claudia Perez, Miguel Lopez, Octavia Rain, Jason BKX, Mongus, Kumiko, Triple Agent, Matty T, Phil Manfredi, Michael Toncha, Karakis, Cody Taylor, DMKR, Fancy, Alan O'Dom, Baguette, Zimv, Sir Kite, Guillaume Mercier, Vangor82, Mali, Naraki Vlogs, Juan B, Brian Panks, Yordi Cosmopara, Corsac Gamer, Von, Ramos, Some Sang, Lord K2, Dandy, Captain Walmart, Magister Obscura, Scott Dobros, Jamie, and every single one of you who supports us on Patreon. It really does mean the world to us that you guys are willing to support us directly like this, especially in these rough mental patch times like I've been having the past 2 weeks. It really does mean so much that you guys are willing to shell out money to us every single month directly so we can continue making the kinds of videos you guys love. It really does mean so much, it's actually really hard to put into words, but thank you. Also, just a reminder, we do have a poll going up right now for the next meta video after we finish up Lance. If you're interested in getting in on that poll, then any patron of any pledge level can participate. Alright, of course we are working on the elemental meta Lance sets, as well as a video on artillery and a whole bunch of different Iceborne content, so be sure to subscribe and hit notification bell if you want to know about those as soon as they come out. Happy hunting, hunters. We'll see you on the next one. Bye!